And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Sorry we're late getting on. As you can see, Four, stand up, please. Stand up. Four was in makeup and wardrobe.
Yeah, he was.
And as you can see, I got the shorts on. And
I do too.
Yeah,
I got
Ford.
shorts
Look at
on
Ford.
that.
He's got the cowboy boots on too with the blue jeans. He was in makeup wardrobe, and I got mine done early.
I just got my flannel.
Yeah.
Hey,
My winter flannel.
Now it goes with the intellectual glasses. He's ready to go. I'm telling you.
Sitting on G, waiting on O, baby.
Yeah.
He's
all
the man.
day long.
He is the man.
I'll get plenty of rest and sleep when I'm dead. It's time to
He's
go.
the man.
And no sports talk before the show. It was everything else but.
Golly.
Sometimes that happens.
Ice machines, property.
Don't talk about
There's
that. Don't
lots
talk-
of things.
don't-
Hey, congratulations on the ice machine, though. Mandy wants one. We're in good shape.
You can
Thank
come
you.
look at it.
Thank you. That's my
That's a nice
payback
picture.
to you.
You can come look at it. There's a lot of people wanting to.
How and where did you order it from?
Okay, it came from Best Buy, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to give Best Buy a plug here for a simple reason. I read the reviews on that thing. I had no interest in that whatsoever. Here's the deal: that as best I can tell, and I'm West Lincoln educated, so I'm not real intelligent. But I'm pretty sure ice is ice. Okay, it keeps stuff
Well,
cold.
I used to think that, but it is not.
I understand that. My wife is a partial shareholder in Brookwood because all the ice she buys down there, because she's got to have that ice, and she puts it in baggies, and she puts it in the freezer, and she gets it out. She got a little handy dandy hammer, and she breaks it up, and she puts it in her cup.
Don's. That's what Mandy does when we get her Don's.
I'm just saying. So I had heard this ice machine and ice machine and ice machine. So me and the girls said, okay, that's what we're going to do. And part of that is we didn't get to take our usual trip this year because she had some surgery and stuff and just wasn't a good time. So we may try to do that later. But, we usually don't spend any money per se at Christmas because we go take a trip.
Yeah.
That's what we do for Christmas to each other. And so the ice machine, there weren't any. Couldn't get it before Christmas, so I printed a color picture of it. Addison wrapped it in a small box so her mama had something to open. She opened it and unfolded it, and I said, there's a reasonable facsimile of your Christmas present, but it just ain't here. It was not scheduled to be in until Saturday, and I got an email yesterday that my purchase was at the store, and I could pick it up anytime. So I went ahead, and I had to go up there and pick up some envelopes. So I went and got some envelopes at Office Depot and went by there and got that, and then came back. I mean, it's a handy dandy. It don't play. I mean, it works. But going back to the Best Buy thing, I bought a 2-year extended warranty. I've read too many people that say they give you some problems because ice makers like that are a complicated little thing.
What makes it so special or different?
Chewy ice, nuggets like Sonic.
Okay.
And I like chewy ice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not good for you. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But
it's better than the big cubes, though.
Absolutely. It's amazing how cold it keeps your beverages.
And that's true.
It
we
is.
Have it at the
It's
office.
awesome.
Yeah.
Don't let me cuss on TV.
Is the water ionized or some kind of? Is it a different kind of water?
Mm-mm. Now I did read, and I suggested we did not. You should use, just because of where we're at, you should always use distilled water.
Okay.
It cuts down on the scaling. I mean, this thing has to be cleaned every 100 hours. Now, I think if you use distilled water, it doesn't have to be cleaned as much because it won't do the scaling as much. We use, giving him like spring water.
Yep.
And I get the deer part back here for the coffee machine for the Keurig, but I can see that it scalies. It gets scaly.
It does.
And I may go to distilled water. Now, all my equipment that I use like here for printing and stuff, all of it's distilled because it just makes your life a whole lot better.
There's a reason they do it with baby formula, too. They recommend distilled water with that. So,
Mark says, David Lilly said, chewy ice, LOL. Mark Alton says, not for bourbon it isn't, cubes only. No, I'll be honest with you.
I love it.
Can I get back to you that on Monday, Mark? Because I'll let you know over the weekend.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought the really
Mark, be a man, not a splash of water. Stop it.
I thought the big ice cube is really good. in bourbon. You know, the big round ice
Oh,
cube.
yeah. So I got this thing for Christmas, Mandy got me, where you make the ice cubes like that.
Just one big one.
If I were to ever do something like that, then I would be able to, have them for that. It's cool. Like Gigi's talking about.
I'll let you know on the chewy.
Cool.
I'll let you know on the chewy ice and
now
bourbon.
I know what you're gonna get next year for Christmas.
Yeah.
My next purchase I've got to make, I've got to get me some type of little bourbon cabinet because I'm starting to acquire through
Let's put one in here.
gifts.
No, well, that big ice to make the ice ball,
the
the ice
cave.
It's
cube.
coming.
Oh, it is.
70 on the wall.
I hear the big ice cube. It melts perfectly with your bourbon.
It might not last that long. Sorry. My bourbon's not going to lay in a glass long enough for the ice to melt. My bad. Sorry.
That's okay. No.
We went down.
I don't know.
Merry Maiden Christmas.
Yep.
I ran into 4. My kids had to go because they wanted a funnel cake. I mean, that's why they came to Merry Maiden Christmas. So we came, and they got a funnel cake, and 4 said, I'm going to get me something to eat. And we went down to 3 Hermanos, and I splurged a little bit. I saw some of my special sweet tea on the shelf, and I just had some of that, just on ice. That works fine for me. That don't want to splash of water, just like that.
Yeah.
And then I think I told you my daughter bought. She bought the wrong Woodford. She brought a rye version of Woodford, and I'm like, I've never had it, but I can assure you it won't go to waste. It will be consumed at some point. And then because she thought she had bought the wrong thing, she went back and got 2 smaller of the regular. So now I've got this corner. She bought me a decanter a year or 2 ago with the engraved paw on it and the 2 glasses with engraved paws on them, and I keep Woodford in that, and then I've got some Gentleman Jack Black Label, and then she brought me back a some kind of Jaguar whiskey out of Florida. I don't know where that came from.
Jim, Jack, and George. You have plenty of that.
Buffalo Trace.
That's all over my head.
No, wait a minute. I tell you what. I do not have Woodford in my decanter. I have got Knob Creek in my decanter. That's what I got in my decanter.
Okay.
So, anyway, all right, I digress. It's too early to be talking about that. Now, David Lilly, when I posted my picture of eating my mush the other morning, David said, you need some of your sweet tea for that. And I said, well, it's 7 o'clock here, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah.
Indeed it is.
I don't know if I could go there or not. That might be just a little too much, even for me. But who knows? Glad to have you along this morning. I guess the Cowboys won. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm really happy for them. Not, I could care less.
Every year they're predicted to win, projected to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you say something long enough, that there might be a chance that.
No.
I think we'll have a really good chance of seeing them play the Panthers in Charlotte. First round of the playoffs.
First round, yeah. There's that.
Really? Is that who it'll be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it'd be. If Carolina can pull this thing off, and it's. I got to tell you, the obvious, the elephant in the room is, Philadelphia, right? I mean, they are. They're the big.
Mm-hmm. They're the most most balanced team right now.
They are, and when Hurts is playing,
and
I talked to Lanny about this a lot. Lincoln Riley completed him as a player to allow him to go to the NFL.
That's why I've said if you were a top quarterback,
you go
going into college, why would you not, if offered, sign with Southern Cal?
It doesn't matter if you play or not. It matters if you
just
get
under
the
training.
Yeah. Because the NFL doesn't care what you do. They just want to make sure that you can run faster, or you can jump really high or bench press 225 78 times. Because that's what really matters, as we've seen in the combines, right? Mm-hmm. It's not actually going out and being a football player. Cooper Kupp. Who else? Your boy at Clemson years ago.
Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, I mean, hello. No, it's how
Wes
fast
Welker.
you are. And
Wes Welker, that's another
Okay,
one.
so and
that
you
list
and our
could
old
go
school
on.
guys with football, because all 3 of us because of the Steelers. You got to line football. It never changes. You can try to turn it into basketball all you want, okay, and spread everybody out and run this and throw it over here and let this guy run. But let me tell you something. When it all comes down to it in championship play, you've got to be able to tackle, you've got to be able to block, and you've got to be able to do what with the football? Run it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to do those things to be consistent and give yourself the greatest opportunity, right, to be a champion. Now, you can win individual games doing all this other stuff, but you can't consistently give yourself a chance to win the championship. What did the Patriots do all these years? They passed their way to a championship, ran the football, okay, and played defense. Very simple.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you don't throw the football. I'm not anti-pass the football. But I am anti-non-process.
And maybe that goes to your point about in the playoffs coming up in the NFL this year. It's one of the lowest scoring seasons in the NFL that they've had going back to the 70s.
100%.
There's not a team out there that is averaging over 30 points a game. That's the first time that's happened in like 30 or 40 years. And there's, I don't know, half a dozen teams that are averaging like 14, 15 points a game. Now, one of them being the Panthers. So if you can't throw the ball and throw the ball around, then you run it and play defense, shorten the game, and that's what a lot of teams are doing.
And let me tell you this. What has happened to the evolution of football, Laney, over the last 35 years? They have gone to the air attack even more and more and more, but yet the scores are not indicative of that being it's more exciting when somebody catches a ball and breaks a tackle and runs it or runs a touchdown, or beats somebody deep, right? Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, that kind of thing. But when, Franco Harris lines up and runs the football, there's something to get excited about when you say if you're a football guy.
When the what was it called? I don't want to say run and shoot, but I want to go back to the old San Francisco West Coast offense.
West Coast
offense was nothing more than a run game through passing.
Absolutely.
Because it was methodical,
and quick,
high percentage.
And quick.
Yes, it was high percentage throws, not the big plays.
No,
and I think you've got coaches now that understand with the rule changes, they can still take advantage of the passing game, but just don't have to go down the field with it. And that's why you're not getting the high-scoring games, because it's still taking 8, 10, 12, 14 plays to drive down the field to get it. And they could take advantage of the I don't want to say looser, the more conducive offensive calls than defensive calls.
Well, you wonder, because of the scoring is down in the NFL, will they go back and look at changing the rules again to get the offense back in it? Because it's
not as long as the eyeballs are there. They make changes in the game based on the eyeballs. If the fans that are watching are excited and tuning in, which I'm excited.
That makes sense.
Which I'm excited and tuning in if it's a good game. I don't want to see, like baseball, I want to see 3-2. I don't want to see 11-1.
Right, or 8-7.
Maybe in a regular season, but in the playoffs you want to see 3-2. In the playoffs you want to see 23-20 down the wire.
In the playoffs in football, if you go back, I would imagine – the average scores in playoffs are way under what regular season is, because it's a different game. They changed the way they play.
But think about it this year in the NFL. The scoring is way down this year. What's it going to be like in the playoffs?
Same thing.
Yeah, it's going to be
probably
down.
Worse.
You're going to see games in the teens.
Let me tell you, some of the bowl games that's been on, that's what's made them good this year. There have been some blowouts, but there's been some really good bowl games.
Tighter games,
That Oklahoma and Florida State game.
And the Carolina game was exciting.
Yeah. I mean, those were great games. And who was it? Somebody went to 3 overtimes?
Mm-hmm. Arkansas
went to 3 overtimes.
After, looking like they were just going to maul them, right?
Yeah, led by like 3 scores in the fourth quarter.
So, I mean, that's what people want to see. That's what I tune in for. Because I can tell you, if a game gets out of hand, and some of them I've missed because I've turned it off and went somewhere else and they've come back, but if it gets out of hand, I don't want to watch that.
I've got a theory on it, guys. Got an idea on this, to Gigi's point. Football traditionally has, when kids start at a young age, all the way till they get to the NFL, right? They've been taught to block and tackle and run the football. What has changed in the lower levels of the game, but it's not changed in the NFL? Right, the style of offense.
7-on-7.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. Well, what happens is that stuff works. All right, 7-on-7 does, because until you get to the NFL or to the SEC West, all right, you can manipulate DBs all day long in a passing game in high school, college, junior high, or middle school.
Yeah.
Okay? But when you get to the NFL, the guy across from the receiver is likely better and even smarter and studies harder, all right, than the guy that's playing receiver.
Well,
that DB is.
That DB is usually bigger and faster than a receiver.
No, that's right. And the safeties now, like Duggar and those guys, who is a great example, great post last night, by the way, they are hybrid safety linebackers.
Yeah. Come down to the box.
So what happens now, you can't run the zone. You know, you can't run the stretch play as effectively. You can't run the zone read. You know, what do we always talk, or what do I always say? You know, until the quarterbacks are faster than defensive ends and outside linebackers, crap ain't never going to work. And guess what? They're not going to be.
Well, the problem you've got now,
and you can't do it
from an offensive standpoint, is you have got a defensive backfield full of strikers.
Yeah,
they'll come hit you.
Yeah,
you know, you think about a lot of corners.
They're linebackers.
They didn't hit.
No.
But now there's guys out there that'll strike you. Yes, they will strike you.
So but that's what I'm thinking, is because now the offensive side is behind. Because they're having to learn a new style of football where they actually have to block, you know, run the ball.
Yeah.
All right. Versus people that have been trained up to that point that have been great tacklers and great defenders of the run and the pass because of where they are level-wise.
Yeah.
So there's something to what Juju said, and it has more to do with offense and non-evolvement of what will continue to work based off of what they're trying to implement. A narrative's great, but the truth is the truth, and it'll eventually come out.
I think when you're looking at offense, I don't think there are as many, what do you want to call them, elite quarterbacks in the NFL as there used to be. They're more mobile quarterbacks.
Yes.
And to be mobile, that means you might have a better chance of having a little bit more effective offense, but you don't have as many elite. There's only so many of them on the planet.
Let me give you this. David Lilly, a great analogy here. He said scoring is down, but margin of victories are tight. And that's, you know, I still go back and
talking
say.
About the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's what the gamblers like, too.
I still say rules are created based on eyeballs. It's not. I don't want to bust anybody's bubble and let them think that they're making rule changes because it's for the betterment of the game. It's for more eyeballs, more money being put down now that gambling's all out and on top of the table. I really think that that's what a lot of that's about. I mean, that's why they do the rule changes. Let me give you a couple comments. I'm going to take a break right quick. Let me scroll back here. Mark Alton, you can't be from Maiden if you say liver mush is of the devil. Okay? I need to fix you some.
Transplant. It's awful.
Yeah. Kirk Herberson said he's getting ready to leave in just a little bit to go to Charlotte to do pictures at the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And that is Maryland.
Maryland and NC State.
Maryland and NC State. Okay. Mark said, I will bet an amount of money that matters that the Cowgirls not only do not win the Super Bowl, they won't even make it that far. I don't think they do either.
Not in the NFC this year. Not with San Francisco and
Milton's kind of the same
teams.
way. He says Dallas has the same chance winning as a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. Miss Kay said, I'm glad they won. My grandson Brock was there to see it. He takes after his grandfather Woody, pulling for Dallas. It's a Wilson tradition. Mark says, I believe Steve Wilkes is deserving of having the interim tag removed and named head coach.
I like him.
If they don't, I think they're going to set the franchise back again. If they don't, because he's got the locker room, he's got the players, and he has turned that bunch around.
I don't know if they want him to do that.
Yeah. How about politically? You know, you have Steve Wilkes and the guy who's assistant coach with the Steelers and some others that are plaintiffs in this case against the NFL.
You're talking about the guy used to be at Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I would think that in Charlotte, especially, you will get an uproar if Steve Wilkes is not hired. They're gonna. I don't say this is right now, but they're gonna plead race. How come you're not hiring this black man? And if you bring in another coach from the outside,
well, I got to tell you, you know, in today's world, you know, there's a lot of things that have been brought to light or shared, right, with a lot of things, whether things are right or wrong or equitable and that. But I will tell you, when I look at Steve Wilkes, and I told Lanny this when he was coaching at Arizona, I said, Lanny, this is the right guy. When he left Carolina, I said, this is the right guy to be able to lead an organization. This man is high character. He cares about people. He engages. The question you had, when we were talking Wednesday about if Tua was your player, would you talk to him? Steve Wilkes does these things.
Mm-hmm.
He finds out about this is very known and common knowledge throughout, Charlotte for people that are engaged with the Panthers in some way about him caring about the players and about, holding them to a higher standard. This is exactly what you're looking for when you have a young group of young men that you're leading that have hardly any life experience that need a good, solid role model. Mm-hmm. Steve Wilkes is a great person. He is right for this job. He was right for Arizona, and they went for the more flashy thing, drafting a quarterback that apparently won't study film.
And it ain't working now.
That's what it's style versus substance.
It ain't working now.
Steve Wilkes is a substantive guy.
Yeah.
That will bring imminent change, to Juju's point.
What is he waiting on then? What is he waiting on? Is he waiting on the next great offensive genius to come along?
That obviously didn't work with
Let's put it
Rule.
this way.
No.
Let's put it this way. Here's what I think. I think if he's not sold on him, he's going to wait and see if he does make the playoffs. And if he does, there's really not any way he cannot name him.
I tell you,
remove the interim tag.
Who was the guy with the Raiders last year, who was the special teams coach, took over middle of the year when they got rid of Gruden?
Yeah,
he took them to the playoffs, never got a whiff at the job.
Yeah,
and now he's the special teams coach with the Packers.
Right.
Biasachi or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, did a good job keeping the team together. Better than this year.
And you haven't heard anything about Wilkes or anybody else being interviewed. Is Tepper doing all this behind the scenes quietly? Or are they going to open up the interview process once the season is over, if and when they make the playoffs?
Well, here's the deal. If they hire him, they won't have to have an interview process because he's already there, and he'll do the minority rule thing that they're looking for. I've always said, if you own a business or you own a sports franchise or a team and you're serious about whatever you're in charge of being successful and in sports winning – you don't need those rules. You're going to pick the best guy that can get things done, that can motivate your players, that can look after your interests.
Yes.
And if you can't, you're not serious about it.
You don't need to go. If you want an offensive guru or defensive guru, go hire them to do that and let a guy that is a great leader of people, men in general, do the job. Tomlin was a defensive coordinator, right? Mm-hmm. And, had a lot of, experience and even though he was young, he learned under a lot of people. John Lynch spoke highly of him.
Yeah, Tony Dungy.
Yes, all these. But the point is, they wanted somebody, to come in and be a leader of men too, which he can do. He talks to the guys. He's very honest with them. Now I'm not the biggest Tomlin fan in the world, but I don't dislike him at all. I don't dislike him, and I think he's done a tremendous job with it.
I don't dislike him either. I just don't think he's the guy that can take them to the next level.
Consistent Super Bowl
and Steve
part,
Wilkes may be that same guy.
Right.
He may straighten out this franchise,
and then they bring somebody else in to take.
But
him to the
he
next
may
step.
not. He may not. And
but
that's
they
okay.
got to start with step one first, and that's getting the chaos under control. And let me tell you something: the first thing they did to getting rid of chaos is getting rid of Baker Mayfield. I told you when they brought him in. It's not about how good he is.
Who was the other? Robbie Anderson. That was the other one.
Dude.
I mean, and it didn't bother him to get rid of people. Yeah. All right, I got to take a break.
It's funny, but when you look at the Panthers, since they got rid of CMC, the guy that Foreman, he has rushed for more yards.
Yes.
Than CMC has with San Francisco.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
There's obviously a reason they've committed themselves to the run.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think the reason they wouldn't commit themselves to the run with CMC is because they knew that he could not take the pounding.
Yeah.
He was beyond that
not
point.
The same
in
kind
his
of
career.
back.
Yeah. Foreman can.
No, that's right. And it was different.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting stat.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's when I say interesting, very telling. That they.
And one final point about is the coach is he grew up in Charlotte, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Wilkes went
Played
to Appalachian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's ready-made.
Well, but sometimes you're bothered that you don't have that quote-unquote NFL pedigree that they're looking for. I don't like retreads. I'm sorry.
Some of the kids they've been hired to be head coaches because it's the cool thing or the hip thing. Let me tell you something. It's style versus substance.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And if you don't have any kind of substance, I don't care what kind of style you got, it's going to go away.
And look at the rest of the division. Look at the rest of the division. If the Panthers make the right hire and do the right things, maybe clean up and fix their offense a little bit,
they win it.
Yeah.
Juju, they win it. Like they are the favorites year in and year out if they get consistency and stability.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Eicher said Kansas, Arkansas was an amazing game.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
Mark said Tepper's a jackwagon. That's why he waits, Juju. Lincoln Pauly says Tepper's using the Panthers as a tax write-off. Milton says the Raiders are a dumpster fire. And Mark said Matt Rule, offensive genius, not with the Panthers, just merely offensive as a head coach. Well, here's the thing. This is the thing. Right. Everybody's not geared to just plug and play, and I think that's where Steve Wilks has set himself apart. That I think he is a guy, and I'll take an assistant that has proven themselves versus one that, he looks good on paper, but I'm like Cliff Kingsbury, I'm going to struggle for 3 or 4 years, and then he's not the one I want. Take a break. Back in a minute.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Sound like I got two things coming in. I don't know where they're coming from.
You got gremlins.
I don't know if my crap's over here set up right. So,
Oh, no, you got a lot of stuff over there, and it's like really complicated.
I don't like it.
But it's pretty cool.
I don't like it.
It's
I don't like it. All right, let's go back to something intelligent to talk about. Mark Alton said, for Rembert, every time I come to Maiden, I expect to see the Rembert Global headquarters expand a few more blocks up Main Street.
What?
Well, it is. I mean,
What?
I'm waiting for you to buy First Baptist Church and just take in that property as well.
Let me tell you something.
Because you own the whole block other than that.
No.
You do.
Well, no. I mean,
Rembertville.
no.
It's Rembertville.
No, it's not. We're just citizens.
Rembertown.
In the town, man.
See, you can move
No,
across
we're
the
just
street.
citizens in the town.
Okay.
We don't. Yeah.
Remberville, Rembertown,
No. This is,
Rembertburg.
Berg is good. I would go with that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. I'm good with that. No, but all kidding aside, this is, obviously wasn't born here. Got lost coming over here to interview for my job at like 21 because 321 wasn't open yet.
Okay.
All right, and I'm trying to navigate all these back roads.
That's right. It is confusing.
And I got no. You remember? Okay, and I came over and I was living in Valdez at the time with mom and dad because I just got back home from, college or whatever. And Debbie Long, who was the principal at Meade, who taught my dad at Ford, she coached basketball.
Yeah, I remember her.
Okay,
yeah.
Miss Long, yeah, love her to death. She called me, said, "Ford, I've got a job opening if you want to." And it's like 2 days before school started because they didn't have anything at Ford where I was helping out, and I waited and waited and waited, and nothing was there. That's fine. So I said, sure. I said, what time would you like for me to come by? She said, why don't you come over about 2 o'clock? I got there at like 2:20. And I thought, man, she's never going to hire me. I'm late. But I told her, I said, Miss Long, I'm so sorry. I couldn't get here. I came here in high school to play basketball when I was at East Burke, but it was dark.
Would you get lost on Startown Road?
Yeah, I just couldn't find it. I'm sitting there with a map. With a map. Now, I'm pretty well, I can navigate. My dad's a map guy. I've grown up with it. But I just kept taking wrong turns and going across that one-lane bridge. I was like, there's no way a town can be in a one-lane, it's a one-lane bridge. So I stopped and just turned around, went back out. I was like, the town's not here. I mean, I hadn't been. I didn't know.
Okay.
But now I got to tell you, man, living here, I love it. I do. I wasn't born here, but I'll die here. Yeah. I love this place.
I ain't got no choice.
No, like
Richie said, last time I went through Maiden, I was told to take a left at Rembertown.
Now, Richie, that's not true.
I'm just saying.
Stop it.
Just saying.
No, we love living here.
Milton said, Raiders bench Carr. They should have pulled the trigger and canned the bad hire.
There you
coach.
go. There you go. I love that.
Not
Milton.
after 1 year. You can't do that yet.
Boy, they did. I tell you what.
Really?
I think
you're gonna get rid of McDaniels after 1 year? Less than a year?
I got to tell you, I know where you're going with this.
Didn't he go 1 year at Denver? He didn't go 1 year at
He
Denver.
went a couple of years. He brought in Tebow. Did he win a playoff game?
Yeah, Tebow beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
And then the next year he wasn't good enough to be on the team. That's when they decided to.
Yeah, brought in John Fox, right?
Yeah, and then they brought in
Mr.
Peyton
Manning.
Which, hey, I'm not making but yeah. I don't know, boys.
Where does Derek Carr wind up at?
But I think he's a great quarterback. I think he may end up at Carolina.
Well, they're not saying that he's not going to be back in Denver. They just need they're eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, they're done.
They need to evaluate what they have. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine taking the last of the season and evaluating what you've got because you're not doing anything for this year.
They're on the hook next year for $35 million.
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes.
they cut him 3 days for the Super Bowl. It only cost them 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's going to Carolina.
You think?
Stop bringing in quarterbacks. Well, his
No,
brother did.
but he is a guy that is like teammates like him. You know, he's into what he's doing.
You know, all that junk that happened with Gruden last year, he was the one that stepped up before the microphone.
That's why you want him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a stand-up guy.
Yes, and the guys
he is an East Coast guy. You know, he's from the West Coast. He's played out on the West Coast.
Yes.
Who?
Yeah,
Carr.
And his brother was a great player.
Yeah. Will he be able to adjust on the East Coast?
Very easily.
Okay.
Because the reason I say that, Juju, is living here and having – I've never lived on the West Coast, but I have clients out there, okay? And these are some people that have lived here in the eastern part that have moved out west. They said it's much easier, right, to adapt coming from out there to here because things are scaled back so much more than it is coming from here, going out there and being like, wow.
Okay.
And now, again, that doesn't make people right or wrong where they live. It's just different. Now, do I know that personally? No, this is what people have shared with me. Okay, but to your point, he's going to get used to humidity on a regular basis, and that's
he just didn't look comfortable the other night in that cold weather. Like he wasn't either used to it or didn't like it, or maybe because they weren't winning. But you look at the teams, and I wrote a note down here. Look at other teams besides the Panthers that'll need him.
Right.
The Jets.
Yes.
The Colts. Probably the Saints. Right.
Colts
Patriots.
are in trouble.
Mac Jones looks. Now they got to do some other things with the Patriots. Their offense is
that's what it is.
Horrible.
They're going to get rid of the OC. The dual OC thing.
You can't evaluate players at the Patriots because they're so dysfunctional with what they're trying to do because nobody knows what they're trying to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think. Josh McDaniels didn't make it 2 years.
Right.
He made it 28 games.
That's right. Because he got fired 6 games into the
and didn't he a couple of years ago took a job with the Colts and in the last minute he said thanks and backed out.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Eric Studsville, he finished the season up. He coached 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So he got fired 12 games in. And then John Fox was there for 3 years.
Well, I think they thought Fox could come in and lead them to a Super Bowl because of his experience and leadership, where McDaniels, like you guys talk about, was more of an offensive-minded. Not that he couldn't lead people, but they needed somebody to bring that. They had Peyton on the offensive side. Now they needed somebody to lead that team, from a defensive and from a, leader of men type thing.
And then Kubiak was there for 2 years. Vance Joseph was there for 2 years. Vic Fangio was there for not quite 3 years.
A week,
And then Nathaniel Hackett was there for 15 games.
Bad hire. Good guy, bad hire.
So is the problem in Denver, and this is I'll just get your take on it. Is the problem in Denver Elway?
No, he's not even involved anymore. He's not involved he's not hands-on like he used to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
he put him in his position.
The new ownership.
It changed.
But he put him in this position.
But he's backed off quite a bit.
Yeah.
He got his power taken away from him,
basically,
whatever. But he's no longer involved in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
I think the general manager deserves much more of the blame than the head coach.
Yeah.
Richie said, I heard something about Carr to Miami.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's because Tua as much as, we want him to be healthy and be able to play, the NFL, to Juju's point the other day, is going to have to take a stand to give the appearance that they are, not saying they're not concerned, but to even maybe go overboard to some degree and say, I'm sorry, we don't think it's safe for you to play anymore. At some point, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, because of what he's gone through.
Yes.
And they have every right to do that because they are the ones that, are in charge. Do I like it? Nope. But that's just the way it is.
Why don't you like it?
And all his concussions have been – it hadn't been like somebody hit him. It's been when his head has hit the ground.
That's
either from
right.
behind or in front, going that way. But 3 concussions this year? They say 2, but I think it's 3. I don't think he'll play the rest of the year.
No, and to your point,
he
I don't
won't
think
clear
he will.
protocol.
Yes. And the reason I say I don't like it is because I want to make sure when things are done, they're done for the right reasons and not CYA. That's why I don't like it. If we had leadership in the NFL that was truly concerned about change and about other things, then it wouldn't be narrative based every few years. It would be consistent. The message would be consistent, right? If and in particular through player health. Only did they come out and start doing things once people started putting pressure on them and the appearance of things, we're not – it doesn't look like we're doing all we can do. We need to step out and do – instead of just, instead of stylistically making an appearance and look like what you're doing, why don't you really do something and sit down and come out in a press conference and say, look, all right, player health and safety is important to us because they are the product that's on the field. We're talking real people. We're not talking about materialistic things. So what we want to do is make sure that all of our doctors that we have hired, all the professionals, brains, whatever, neurosurgeon, whatever, we're all on the same page and we're trying to properly evaluate these players because we do have their best interest. We understand that, yes, this is how they make money for their family and many, many others that they feel responsible for or are helping. But at the same time, we want people to understand that this is important to us as as ownership, as the league, and as people helping other people. This is important. But they won't do that. Oh, we're going to throw these people out here, and the box up there is going to tell us if we're going to. It's a bunch of crap.
Let me ask you this question.
It's a bunch of crap.
And I'm
CYA.
Be honest with me, okay?
I have no problem with
Be
that.
totally honest with me. Do you really think that owners, franchises, people in charge, the quote-unquote independent doctors and evaluators really have the players' best interest at heart? Do they take everything into consideration, or is everything just what you said? It's CYA.
I don't think you can group them all together, but I do think there are a tremendous amount of individuals that do care. Just like I think with elected officials, there's a tremendous amount of people both on a local, state, and national level that truly care about helping people. But I think there's a select few that actually have the most influence that do what they do to do what's in their best interest. And that's the problem I've got. That's the problem I've got. Okay, I have it. So NFL, our political system, local, whatever.
Let me take it one step further. So, how do you fix it? See, that's been my thing with any of this. How do you fix it? You keep saying, okay, we're going to take the power out of the people that have a that can gain financially because they need this player. I need for him to play. For us, I'm going to take the power out of their hands, and we're going to put it with independent, removed from the situation, objective overseers. But are they really?
Because money talks, okay? We say that, and it does. It makes the world go round. It's not a bad thing. It helps a lot of people. It makes life better. The world is much better. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett will both tell you that, basically a lot of people stop whining because they're 90-some years old. Munger's 98, and he says, look, I've seen it really bad. Things are not as bad as, what are made to be. And my point to this is, if you truly have a free market system, whether it be in the NFL or whatever, the market will dictate what product is served. Right now, the market only cares about dynamic, flashiness, style-based performance. There's no substance there like we saw in the beginning stages of the NFL, even through the 70s and early 80s. Things have now become more marketable. So, therefore, the care is in how much money you can get for this or that versus actually taking care of the players and doing the things that you need to do to make sure that things are sustainable.
Well, the other thing I think that is
– and another way you do that, Laney, you say, you know what? Football's a rough sport. Okay, if you're going to play, these are the things you can expect.
I agree.
They may or may not happen. They probably will.
I agree.
But these are things that are going to happen. So, and they need to put a disclosure on every time somebody watches football. This is a violent sport.
It is controlled violence.
And we are unable we are unable to control the speed of the game. All right, and it's going to get better and better every year and more violent every year because of the strength factor. Okay, so when you watch this, before you start jumping to conclusions, please understand these people are willfully and voluntarily, voluntarily playing this game and getting paid for it. Okay, so you need to understand.
Do you think the game's safer now than it was?
No,
You don't think it is?
No, sir.
No, sir. What would you? Morning, Stephen. What would you base that on that you think it's safe?
Now, I heard a viewpoint on that the other day, I think, to what you're getting ready to say, but go ahead.
I'm just asking the question. I mean, you don't see at least I don't see as many of the major injuries that you used to see, and guys playing through injuries and having hip replacements in their 30s and 40s and knee replacements.
I think you do. I just don't think you hear about it.
Okay.
I think this
is all you hear about is this, the head.
Yeah.
I think that's where
the
things
CTE.
have gone. But see, the problem is right when you and Lanny were finishing up playing, okay, and right when I was starting to play in middle school and high school, they started making the helmets where it didn't hurt when you used your head. All right, and this went on through the 90s when I was through playing and got into coaching. It's like these helmets are incredible. I mean, these companies would come out and say this helmet's the safest. Kids would use it as a battering ram. You didn't teach it, but they still did it.
But that was the whole purpose, and that goes back to what I'm saying. They were making advancements and changes so you couldn't tell if you were doing damage to yourself.
That's where the market took it.
Yeah.
Because of the excitement and the stylistic performance of the game.
When you look at the fat boys up front and in college, and it's almost kind of mandated now, almost all of them wear these braces, whether they've had their knees
they should.
Or they don't. But that's what I'm saying. You're making them mechanical so that they can just keep going and going and going. Then it gets harder after you quit playing that starts to show up, and you never get it right.
And it's not that anybody's doing anything wrong. To your question, it's not anybody's doing anything wrong. Times are different.
Yeah.
People used to work. Kids used to play in the neighborhood. They used to work on farms or in local businesses, loading boxes, getting out and fighting, wrestling around. There's very little of that today. Falling on your bicycle. Now you have to wear a helmet even when you ride in the grass. Okay? All right? Now, I'm not saying safety's not important, but I think being overzealous, or that maybe not best word, but just overprotective about things that, calculated risk is what life is all about. All right? If you're going 110 miles an hour in a sharp curve and a cliff that goes down 2,000 feet, the chances of you making that turn are not very good. So calculated risk means I need to slow down to a very appropriate speed as I'm turning, and that way I don't go off the cliff. Well, there's a lot of that de-risking that's going on now in other areas of life, but in everyday life, everything is ready, aim, fire, instead of the most successful way to do things is ready, fire, aim. Ready, aim, fire causes hesitancy and questioning about everything. Oh, am I doing – it's like all this misinformation about soccer and football and basketball. Can't play football, you get head injuries. Try playing soccer and basketball and take a look at the numbers on concussions.
Yeah, wrestling especially, yeah.
And so what happens is the body, which Laney talks about, is not calloused enough to be able to take it on. Every day when those kids that I coached all these years were in elementary and middle school, we hit the sled every day. I don't care what position we flip tires. Whether it be
we didn't even have to have pads.
Juju, I had to so these kids could develop callus in their body so they could take the rigors. Ask me how many games Quinn missed as a player. None. Ask me how many games Jacob Sigmund missed. None. DJ, none. Jack Hensley, none. We never got hurt. Why? We're lucky? Okay. No, we trained hard. Our kids that trained the hardest never got hurt.
That's why I say what's happening in the NFL now is they don't do enough with the body, and that's because they've done so much damage. By the time they get there, they're afraid to use it. Let me take a break.
Because Lanny,
and then I'll
your point. Because I'm sorry, but I got to finish this. Because they never fought in the neighborhood anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not condoning you go out and punch somebody in the head. I'm talking about just kids getting out and wrestling around. Falling off their bike. Nobody does. You can't ride that bike. You might fall. Failure's our greatest teacher. That's like I told my kids. You ride a bike, you're not wearing a helmet because you need to know how stupid you can be if you go too fast and you bump your head.
Just go show them the Ben Roethlisberger incident.
That's all you got to do. Yeah. I told Quinn, I said, hey, look, you ride around out here on the pavement, I want you to wear it. But if you're ever jumping stuff in the grass and doing all this, I said, you wear that helmet, I'm gonna wear you out because you need to understand how to take calculated risk.
He's a hard man.
And Quinn would say, Dad, come on. I said, do I look like I'm kidding? He's like, okay.
Where's he from?
Who, Quinn? You would think he's from
Northern
London.
Maiden?
He'd think he's from London.
Okay.
Because he used to watch Thomas the Train. Quinn spoke British.
Thomas the Train.
Until he was like 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That accent.
Oh, it's incredible because he listened to the Thomas the Train thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I got ringing in my head from 17 years ago. It's incredible.
Love Thomas the Train.
Oh, it's incredible. He would say, Dad, the trains are shunting. He would sound just like that guy. It was incredible. Now, my youngest one, Garrick, he's like, Dad, I'm not watching that.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Now, G is his own man. G thinks, he told me the other night, he said, Dad, I just think the Bills are going to beat the Eagles. What?
In the Super Bowl.
And do you know what came out? They told me this last week. I think it's Christmas morning, Christmas afternoon. You know what came out 2 days ago? The odds of the Bills win the Super Bowl are the highest, or they have the best chances to win by like 6 times anybody else. That came out last night. They fresh State Vegas.
I tell you what, the Bills if they have home field advantage against the Chiefs, they'll be
there. They will.
And I've told you my backstory about why I want the Bills to win. If you don't, I'll remind you in a minute. Let me take a break.
Sorry.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
I have figured out what's going on. I got it figured out. My bad.
What was it?
I was playing two things at the same time.
Oh.
That was completely on me because I'm an idiot. All right, let me go back.
Are we going long today?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. At least 30 minutes.
Going back, way back.
But he spent so much time in wardrobe that I didn't want him to get all his money's worth, from having to get ready.
I got stuff
dressed
to
up.
do. It doesn't matter if it's the first day of the year or the last day. I got stuff to do.
Show the lining. Show the lining.
Oh, so inside the jacket.
Steve Nicholas.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
So my clothier, Lily.
Clothier.
All right. Who is a young lady in Charlotte, comes up and visits and
Tailor?
Yes.
You call it a clothier,
yeah,
as opposed to the old-fashioned tailor, right?
Yes.
Clothier.
She is, and her and Mandy are like two peas in a pod. Because I don't know about, no, you can't wear that. You have to wear this. You can't. And they come in and do all this stuff, and they make sure I'm coordinated. She's fantastic. I highly recommend her. Like if you have to get a suit or anything like that. People talk about, it's cost this. Let me tell you something. It's very appropriate, very reasonable.
Let me tell you how this works. Okay, y'all need to come over and visit and see the beast. Okay, I've got this chair called the Beast. Predominantly sold to fire departments and EMS bases because it's so big that these guys can sleep in it, because they're on 24-hour shifts. Mm-hmm. Well, I saw this thing at Factory Mattress in Lincoln where I get all my stuff. Fell absolutely in love with it. I wanted a recliner. And Julie, who's the owner, says, "Does Kim know you buying this?" I'm like, "Put it on my truck." I came home with that chair, to which my wife said, "You've never bought anything like that and not asked me." I said, "You're not the one sitting in it. I'm the one sitting in it. I want a recliner. I got a neutral color that matches everything. I have bought way out there colors of chairs before because I liked them. And it's the Beast. It is so big.
I love it.
It is so big that when I sit down in it, I have to lift myself up and slide back, and my feet come off the floor. Okay? And if you come up behind me, you can't see me. That's how big this chair is.
Wow.
It's a
So
great chair.
went from the clothier to that.
Hey,
Well, the point that I was
all-
making.
It's all about how you wear it.
Wait a minute. The point I was making is
That's
when
awesome.
he said his clothier and his wife are like two peas in a pod.
Boy, they are.
Because
They're really
I
good
don't know
together.
what color and stuff. That was my point I was making. You can step out on your own. I don't. My wife doesn't get up and approve what I wear.
Mine does.
Mine don't.
She says you're not leaving the house looking like a goober because you're.
Do you know what?
You're a reflection of me.
Hold on.
Boy,
hold on.
she's
hold on.
She's
Let me
right.
tell you how to answer that. You won't have to answer it. There she is. See, you won't have to answer
Whoa.
that but one time. You won't have to answer that but one time. When my wife used to say, "You're not wearing that today, are you?" Do you know what my response was? And this is true. Holy God, I'm not going to get laid, am I?
And we'll be right back. Oh my!
Is that not the
God.
response? Yeah, she's here. That was the
Lord.
response. That's how you stop
gonna
that.
crawl
I'm not
under a
impressing
rock.
anybody with what I'm wearing. It's just clothes. It's okay.
My God, I can't do it.
Okay, all right, let me go back to our comments. Duck said, these players are making millions and don't want to take themselves out because they could lose their income. It's their ultimate responsibility to decide if they should play or not. Money makes guys make bad decisions. And, again, they are grown adults, and I feel greed on players' behalf sometimes make them make bad decisions. That's not sometimes. That's all the time.
Well,
there's a small minority that makes decisions. A Dan Morgan, a Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Who was the linebacker that retired like 2 years because he just didn't want to run the risk of damage?
And you see in the NFL now more and more. I think there are more players probably making minimum $700,000 to
They are.
$1 million. They need that income as opposed to some of the big.
That's
Well, that's
The
why
bigger names.
that's why the contracts suck. I want to say another word, but I didn't. No one tells you what to do if you don't want to. They should retire and keep their health. This is in their hands. Andrew said, I think that the equipment and safety protocols have gotten better over the years. However, they haven't been able to advance at the same rate as athletes in regards to strength and speed. The equipment and technology has not been able to keep up with the advancements that's made in training and nutrition and those type things.
Yeah.
It's basically
There's,
what it's
there's
saying.
a lot of science to it.
And
that's
no,
okay.
Mark, I did have a face mask. It was a one-bar smart butt. My dad wore the leather helmet, just in case you're wondering. Richie said, I told my kids, wear your helmets on your skateboard if you're going to do tricks on your bike. Duck said, risk versus rewards. Millions of dollars and greed are all involved. Players, owners, coaches. But at the end of the day, the player can say no. And that's the point I was making with these independent, supposedly objective people. Are they really helping you make the best choices? Andrew said, it's also interesting to me that football gets so much flack about injuries, but the UFC, for instance, never seems to deal with it. It's because, Andrew, they're not – I mean, I watch highlights from UFC, but there are more eyeballs on the NFL, and there's so much more money involved as a whole from an advertising standpoint. That's
There
why.
is. And like I said before, it's money makes the world go round. But what we get into is the balance of what that means.
Yeah.
And basically it's it falls down to a character issue when you look at things and strip it down, because humans obviously control the decision making on the final decision on what's being done. They can use all the analytics through computers and science and all this stuff, but in the end, this is what happens, and there's always going to be that struggle, and shifting of power back and forth. The players' union will come in and have 4 or 5 really big, strong years, and all of a sudden you'll have 2 or 3 owners or Goodell will come in and say, you know what, that's too much. We're taking this back. If you don't like it, strike, lose your money, whatever. And then vice versa. And the same thing happens in life. It's just a give and take. And there's got to be better balance, in a situation like this. There has to be a better way to do this.
I'm going to give you an answer to that in a minute. Andrew said, kids don't get much physical conditioning on an iPad.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Their thumbs are in great shape.
They're going to have arthritis. Rich said, I mean, there's a reason that they have put a sticker on gas pumps telling you not to put the gas nozzle into your mouth.
Yeah.
The fact that
Oh,
you
wait a
have to
minute.
put that on
She
there.
had to come up here because I hadn't got to her comment yet. It is so ugly. It takes half of my living room. Your next husband could do that. Richie said, mine told me I looked homeless before. I don't care. Mark says Mandy is the glue that holds the Rembrandt extravaganza together.
Yeah, 100%.
Richie said, didn't Eric Crouch quit after a year? Is that the linebacker I'm thinking about?
No, he was the quarterback at Cleveland.
Okay.
Right. No, that was Couch.
Couch. Tim Couch.
Eric Crouch is who he's talking about. Is he the young man that just came in and just
maybe a year or two,
and he said that's it. I'm not doing it for health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have heard players, all right, the last several years that have it was becoming the thing to say I'm stopping play college football. I'm calling my career to an end because of the possibility or because I've sustained this injury. It's kind of like you get a lot of media attention for doing that. But was that really what you were doing? If it was, that's fine. But if you were doing it to get attention, that's a stylistic form of behavior, and it went away as quick as it got there.
Yeah.
So that's why
I wouldn't have quit if they hadn't made me.
No, but what I'm saying, that's right. You're different than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, but the point is, that's when narratives, are influential in younger people's lives when they really don't have measurement of life experience, and so they just jump on something that they hear or they think that's a good idea without really having a chance to, weigh in all of the pros and cons of it. That's why I'm saying narrative-based things, it doesn't matter if it's in sports or politics or in your home or anything else, there's got to be a way to vet that before you make decisions. And when you don't, you have to live with the consequences of the decisions you're making. Mm-hmm. And it's like that with anything. It's just unfortunate because there's not a lot of guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I was talking to one of the guys over at a local professional sports team, and I said, "Look, one day I'd just like to come by and talk to some of the younger kids, and just give them a heads up on some things, and just do it as a service to them." Well, I don't know if we can do that. I said, I'm not coming over there to try to. I was like, these kids don't have any money anyway. They're still real young, and they don't have large contracts. I just want them to be informed and aware so they'll be good stewards of what they're doing. This is kind of like a public service thing. We'll just come in and not have a speech or anything, but just say, hey, what questions do you have? Maybe these are some of the things that you need to look out for. Well, they're real particular about who comes in and talks to people. I said, isn't that amazing? Anytime they're scared of someone coming in and trying to share conversation and educate.
That's because so many of them get taken advantage of.
That's what I'm saying. They want to narrow everything down to just go with this person, just do this, just because we're protecting them. No, anytime you withhold any information from anybody that can help make them better or help them make a decision on their own and actually think for themselves, that's when you know something's not 100% legitimate or there's an issue, because they're so protective of, oh, you can't do that, you can't say that, you can't do this. Why? Because we might educate them and they actually think for themselves instead of just being sheep and follow through what you tell them.
What's my thing here? When I say or give you my opinion, I do not want you to follow me. That's not what
That's not the point.
No,
The point
I
is
want you to
discussion.
take what I say and go out there and look it up
Apply
and make your own decisions. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to tell you what's out there, and then you decide.
It's okay. Yeah.
Duck said, "It's funny you say they only make $700,000. Is that worth your health?" Talking about your minimum, those minimum contracts. Yeah. None of us except me make that, and my wife will testify that I don't. But we seem to be living good lives with our families and our health. I don't feel bad for guys at the bottom of the NFL pay scale. They are at the top of and way beyond most of us.
1%.
I've said,
1% or
I've said, if I were a young player and I came out of college and all I could make is a practice squad,
You do that.
I'd take that for $1.50. I mean, it's like $140, $140 a year to play on the practice squad and play football.
Couple hundred thousand.
Okay, so what about growing up in the coal mine? All right, How are we relating this, right? These people that make over $500,000, okay, a year, 28% of the country believes that, or excuse me, the country, like when you poll people, they'll say that 28% of the population makes over $500,000 a year. That's not true.
I saw that stuff.
It's
that-
one,
that you
I sent it to.
posted.
It's 1%.
Yeah.
1% of the population makes over 500. 1%. Okay. All right. This is where media and other things come in with these numbers and start skewing things. And
And a lot of the media are in that 1%.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially the major media.
But you paint
you
does
paint
it
the
so they
picture
can,
so that it proves
that's
the point
right.
that you're trying
but,
to make.
But what I'm saying, that's manipulation.
Yes.
Okay? All right? All these things, this is manipulation. And the problem with all this is it's a control factor. Instead of letting people think and do things for themselves, have discussions. And what's happening is you have these young people that are coming in with very little life experience, and they're trying to make huge decisions, both based on their family, their financial situation, and learning how to do a trade that takes years to be, to not perfect, but to be very efficient at. And talking about the NFL. Or you say, what's that got to do with anything? Now we talk about people where I grew up in Valdez that used to work in Valdez Weavers Textile Mills, okay? In furniture, staples in their hands, I hand them $100, which is very painful. Missing fingers, all of this. So when we talk about the NFL and concussions, there are people taking the same risk in life.
That's why people don't want to hear athletes whine about what they make.
Well, but what I'm saying is there's people taking this, I say it's the same risk, comparable in certain areas that have lived very, very, modestly at best, but yet we're talking, all the focus is put on so-and-so's head. That doesn't put food on the table for anybody.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to give you my fix. Let me give you my fix for the NFL. Okay. Now, one of you smart guys will have to clue me in. You'll probably know this. What's the salary cap? Do you know where it's at now?
100 and
just a number, 170,000. Let's just say 170,000.
No,
what do you mean, 170
I mean,
million?
170 million.
Yeah, it's like 100.
So that's total payroll per year,
172,
right?
something like that.
Per year.
Yeah.
Okay, so would it fix this problem? Okay, would it fix this problem? And please don't call me socialist just yet. Let me finish. Would you fix this problem if you came up with a scale? And I've said this before. Position, players, years inside the league. Would it fix the problem that you would make different decisions about your health, or would it not?
It's a value-based system.
I didn't say it was right. I'm just saying,
No.
would it?
I don't disagree with you. That's a great point.
Would it be
So,
different?
Comrade Lanny. All right.
You mean certain positions get paid a certain amount of money?
I'll give you another example. School systems,
Awful.
government,
Awful.
it's classes, years you've been there. You're a grade 23.
But you're
You've
trading
been here
benefits.
5 years.
You're trading benefits in the school system, the government system, for
There's no
supposed to
freaking
be-
benefits anymore.
No, that was the original intent.
I understand.
But what people want is they wanted money now, so they've changed the structure
Mm-hmm.
of that. I talked to a lot of people being a former teacher back in the, back in.
That's why people won't
things
take
were there.
government jobs anymore. That's why the post office has openings.
Yeah. It used to be about, I get great health insurance, I get this,
Retirement.
I get state retirement, all this. People are like, I can't live right now. Okay, the point is you work for 30 years, and then you live like a king for the next however long you're going to live. Nobody want to do that. They want to go on trips. They want to get experiences now. Very few people want to wait to retire to go do these things. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can't expect the same thing on the backside. There's a reason that things are set up. If you do that in NFL, the play will go straight down.
It
will go straight
It's
down.
208 in 2022. 208.
It'll go straight down.
I'm just.
It's a great question.
The reason I'm saying though is that a way? I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you fix it.
The market
And the
dictates
reason that I don't like it the way it is because when contract negotiation comes up, instead of them really looking at what we need, the guys that can't afford to be on strike have to take whatever they're giving them because the guys that's making all the money, they can sit there forever.
That's the way
and
the
not
world
play.
works.
I understand, but then the majority of the players get a bad deal on the contract.
100%. 100%. That's why if you want to have success over time in a business or your team, okay, that you can't just bring in the star player. You have to bring in the player that best fits what you are trying to do and what you want to accomplish. New England's run was not an accident. People can say he cheated, he did this. That's fine. That's their opinion.
He had a plan.
But he had a
system.
process in place, and you were going to adhere to it even if your name was Tom Brady, even if you were Randy Moss. Randy Moss says he respects Belichick as much as anybody ever played for because he always told him the truth. He wanted to make sure that he did everything he could do so Belichick would say, Randy, good job. That's a great play. You need to do this, Randy. Randy, because he could rely on that information.
But not every quarterback would have worked in New England. The reason Tom worked in New England is because he had a different desire, not just about the checkbook. He wanted to compete and win and be the best, and he was willing to give up money to be able to do that.
But they didn't know. Brady didn't know, and Belichick, none of them knew how great Brady was going to be.
I understand.
But he had the intangible.
But once he got started,
drafted baseball player out of high school, right? They knew he had the athletic intelligence. Even though he wasn't fast or all this, he was still extremely athletic, and his drive and determination is what.
But once he got started, they understood, and he understood it's not just about the checkbook.
He didn't call him Bill.
And
he
that's
said coach.
And that's what that's what is so many of these athletes coming out now.
Well, he reinvested himself.
Yeah.
You know, you see all these people all the time, I'm going to get mine while I get it. No. When you get something in, you take it and you reapply it where you can reinvest in the things you're doing for the benefit of others. Anytime you do that, because nothing is ours. Okay? We're all granted these things through the good gifts and graces. Okay?
That's correct, yes.
Now, people can believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
I'm not a preacher, but I'm very strong in my faith in what I believe. Okay? And none of this stuff on earth
nothing I have is really
renting it.
It's never it's nothing really that's attributed to what I've done.
And you got to make sure, and people that may frown on this say, oh, it's not true. You can't. Listen, that's fine. That's
you
your
believe
opinion.
whatever you want to.
But if you want to look at me and say, you know what, I don't believe what he said, that's fine. Okay, go ahead. No problem. But every chance I get personally to reinvest into people or to someone else, we do that. And that's what Brady did into his team, into his life. People say, yeah, but his wife did this. Let me tell you something. Behind every great person, whether you have to have a spouse that is 100% in your corner, okay? Regardless of what happens or what you do, for guidance, advice, to lean on. It doesn't matter if it's the man or woman. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is you've got that rock there, okay? The guy was not through playing football. We consider say he's too old. He was the best player in the NFL last year. Didn't win the MVP. He was the best player, okay? She didn't want him to do that anymore. That's fine. That's fine. But if you truly care about somebody else, and I'm not judging him, I'm just giving an example of the way my wife does me, okay? And she sees that I'm passionate about something. She may or may not like it, but she's going to support it until I'm done with it.
Would she let you have your chair?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
See, my wife's
but I would have to tell her first. And I would. Just kidding, lady. Just kidding. I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
Put it on my truck.
But no, all kidding aside, this is, this is where things are. And there's a reason these higher profile players won't do what Brady did because they're all style based. I'm not doing that. I can't do
right.
That's
right.
Crazy.
That's right.
Why would you not model everything that you try to do after a portion of what he and Joe Montana and Jalen Hurts?
Their successfulness.
Randall Cunningham's a great example of
their successfulness should be enough of an enticement to say, maybe I need to consider some of the things that they've done. It worked pretty good for them, and especially when you look at like a Brady. And you look at Brady, and it wasn't like he had a roster full of, stellar players with him. He took what he had, and like Peyton Manning at the Colts. Peyton Manning did the same thing. He didn't have to have the top receivers. He made a lot of receivers.
Yeah,
just
but
like
he did have Marvin Harrison and Wayne,
Reggie
Wayne,
right? And he helped develop
Marshall
them
Faulk
as they helped develop him. Right, you know what I'm saying? That was a win. That was a win. With that, I think this, Juju, the more that, and I was 7, 8 years old, 6, whatever, when the Steelers their last 2 Super Bowls in the 70s, right?
Man.
Right. Okay. And And what I noticed is going back and watching, the video and film back then, but what I noticed is that Stallworth and Swan and the big tight end they had, really big guy.
Yeah, Benny Cunningham.
Yeah, what I noticed is that Bradshaw's development continued to improve based on him working and helping those guys develop, right? Mm-hmm. And I really thought that, once they got there, I had this belief that, well, they're always at that level and they're just playing good. They're continually evolving. And when you have a quarterback that's in that mindset, like a Staubach, Bradshaw, and then, through like Marino and there's a reason they have greatness. There's 5 things I tell, my kids all the time. I'll give you 2 of them. Number 1, be strong in your faith and make it personal, and don't go around sharing it with everybody unless you feel inclined to do so, right? But you be strong in what you believe, okay? Number 2, look at the most successful people around the world. I don't care what they look like or where they're from. What are the attributes that they do? What truly defines their success? I won't go on the other 3. But if I'm an NFL player or wanting to be one, regardless of what position it is, I'm finding the guys that played that position all the way from as far back as I can go until modern day. How did they do this and how they become successful? Mm-hmm. This is not a secret. This is just common sense. But because we want it all now, I want the flash, I want the, all this, that's fine. But no, that crap ain't going to last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Couple of football questions. Just to see, just short answer, yes or no. Oregon beat North Carolina. Mac Brown in trouble.
No.
Okay, hold on.
New offensive coordinator? No.
Okay. Yeah. Just
Drake May coming back? No.
Keep throwing them in there.
They'll finish first or second ACC next year.
Okay. Yeah, Mac's back. That's what they were doing this year. Okay.
Watch out for Florida State.
Yep. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Agree.
Sarkisian, is he in trouble? Gets beat by Washington. 27-20.
Next year's a big year for him. Yep. Year 3.
Yep.
Florida State beat Oklahoma.
Yep.
Does it say more about Florida State or Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
I think Florida State. They start out poorly this year.
Yeah.
And that's where Cristobal is, right?
Right, and I think
he's at
Miami. But I think the thing is, in the short answer, yes or no, Oklahoma was supposed to be this, and now we know they're that. So Florida State, even though they have shown major improvement and will be better next year, they still got a long way to go because they were so far down.
But Oklahoma is – Venables has not had one recruiting class. So he's playing with what he was handed.
Yeah, he is, but I don't think it matters.
Okay. All right. Dino Babers got beat by Minnesota, Syracuse. They've been hot a few years, but then they kind of collapsed at the end of the year. Like Dino Babers, but he in trouble?
No. I don't, who else are they going to find?
There you go.
Okay.
Great guy and does a great job.
How about Duke?
Duke set a single-season win record,
dude,
and they're still useless.
Coach Elko and Rob Smith, the defensive coordinator, I'm telling you, they got it going on. And those 16 kids they went after and got, they got it going on.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite coach, Drinkwater. Is he in trouble? He gets beat by 10 by Wake Forest at Missouri.
He might be next year.
Okay. See if there's any more in here that how big are today's games? Today's games. All right. Today's games. Maryland and State. State's 8-5. State loses. The
quarterback's out.
He's never leaving.
No.
He's going to be there forever, and I cannot understand that.
Who stays there longer, Doran there or what's his name at Wake Forest? They've both been there about the same time.
Oh, that would be a great Vegas thing where you could do betting because they're solid.
Is it Clawson, Dave Clawson?
Yeah, Dave Clawson.
Didn't he come from one of the academies?
No, he came from the Mid-American Conference somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's right. Yeah, he's solid though. God, they're such good coaches. Good guys too.
Pittsburgh. All right, today's Maryland State, Pitt, and UCLA.
That's a major contrast.
Okay?
That is. That is.
Smash mouth versus wide open
Are they
offense.
close to the same colors like the gold looking stuff?
The gold is, but not the blue.
Not the blue.
The blue is more.
But the gold.
You got a darker
powder.
blue with pit.
Right. God, it's crazy.
How important
Have they ever
is
played?
I don't know about that.
You know what I'm saying?
How
Yeah.
important is a win today for Notre Dame if they get beat by the Chickens? They play the Chickens.
That's a good matchup. Both are like top 20, right? Right around 20.
Ohio, Wyoming, nobody cares.
Who?
And then tonight, the Battle of the Orange, Tennessee and Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh, Clemson's going to win that game.
Clemson has a new quarterback.
But so does Tennessee.
Yeah, but that's because they're injured.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean but Clemson's is hitting on all cylinders.
Tomorrow,
that other kid is.
I saw a stat about Dabo since he's been on board.
Mm-hmm.
340 of the 346 players that he's had come through have graduated. That's pretty impressive.
That's incredible.
He's
340
incredible.
out of 346 kids.
That's 98.7%.
He's my favorite.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's my favorite. Mine and Andrews.
And he got his first road scholarship person this year.
Mine and
That's
Andrews.
impressive.
He's my favorite. I don't
That's
care.
impressive.
I know you and Andrews the same way. It's not my favorite.
Chairs
okay?
will be cut up when you get.
Care? I gotta buy another one. They sell them every day. I still
don't
got a
do it.
truck.
Don't
I
do
still
it.
got a truck.
You do.
I do.
But you could put the chair here, and we could do the show in the chairs. We get
I've
two
got to
more
move some of this shirt stuff out of here and man cave it up. I'll move my bourbon station up here.
Ooh, in that corner. Mm-hmm. And you got
Put
the
a
tent
bar.
with the windows, right?
Put
so
a bar.
We're good there.
Yeah.
TV position.
I've got a code at the door, so it's a private club.
You know what Ben Roethlisberger does? He has his own little podcast. They sample beers.
Yeah.
They have fans
Look,
all.
we drank beer one Monday
Yeah,
night.
yeah, they have
we
friends.
Drank beer one Monday
He has
night.
people that watch the show. They send him beers from all
Yeah.
over the country. They sit and sample them.
That's
Give him
crazy.
thumbs up,
Well,
thumbs
I'll
down.
do duels.
Yeah.
I'll do some of that if you want to bring it in.
All right, tomorrow's games: Alabama, Kansas State, Iowa, and Kentucky, and then the nightcaps.
Iowa can what? Man, Iowa.
Iowa will manhandle Kentucky.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
That game will be like 10-7.
Man.
Okay.
Iowa's
Yeah, I
got
was
like
gonna
the
say
worst
11-9.
offense in college football. Yeah.
Make your predictions. Make your predictions for tomorrow night.
Nobody watches. Oh, you mean I'm
TCU,
sorry.
Michigan. TCU, Michigan.
Michigan in a blowout.
Yep, me
Yep,
too.
me
I
too.
agree.
Ohio State, Georgia.
Georgia in a blowout.
Okay. We'll hold the national
All right.
championship game.
Hold on. Michigan and Alabama.
I'm taking Michigan.
Oh, I'm sorry they're not playing.
That's right.
Because we got the best 4 teams in that makes everybody feel good instead of the best 4
I hope
teams.
for you, I really do, that they don't get upset by Kansas State.
Well, if they do, they do. You know, but the point is, anything can happen. But going into the people say, well, they shouldn't be punished for playing a championship game. Yes, you are evaluated on your body of work, okay, throughout the year.
That wasn't it. It was the optics of two losses.
No, they lost 2 games.
It was the optics of
Well,
two
you
losses.
know what? You know what? They got beat by the number 1 team, and I'm not an Alabama fan. What I'm saying is I want the best 4
Yes, you
teams.
are, Andrew.
God almighty. I could care less.
Richie wants to know if there's
I
a
want-
cover charge. Now you got to buy
I
a
want
membership.
and it's a weekly installment, not monthly.
Yeah.
But I want the best 4 teams in, not and I'm not so sure LSU at the end of the year is not one of the best 4 teams. That's what. But they got 3 losses, and you can't. That's not the criteria. The criteria is supposed to be the best 4 teams. These are not the best 4
All right,
teams.
Richie's going against you. He says Carolina, and he's a Carolina fan. He says Carolina does not finish in the top 2 or 3 in the ACC next year because too many questions on defense.
No, I don't. No, I understand
yeah,
it, but I
that's a
think
good
it will
point.
continue to get better. Is what I'm saying.
How long does Matt get? He's 117.
He finished second in the ACC.
He's the same
this
age
year.
as-
And the ACC's terrible.
But it doesn't.
They got a
but
pretty
you
good
can
record
only
in the bowl
control
games.
where you are.
What are they, 4-2 in the bowl games?
They're still terrible.
Clemson. You would say Clemson was terrible this year.
They were.
Okay, but no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying
10 wins is
but
not
yet
terrible.
they won the ACC championship.
It is based on what they've done in the past and what they could have done if somebody wasn't hard-headed and played the players that need to be played. Okay, I'll go the same way.
That's fair.
When you
That's
say
fair.
the best 4 teams should be playing,
Sure.
the best 22 players should be on the field.
I don't agree with that. I think the best players that are the most prepared should be on the field, because what happens is when you just put the best player out there that's the best athlete that's
No. I'm talking about the one – I'm talking about playing the best player that's capable of being the best player in that position.
I'm sorry.
Merit-based. You're talking about merit-based.
Yeah, I'm talking about
to be out there from their
right.
I'm not talking about
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
Richie, no cover charge, but there will be membership because we're a private club. We'll get back to that later. I do want a sports bar. I just got too much other stuff going on. Richie said not defending Mac, but he's the same age as Saban.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did I come home and tell you the day the guy passed away that owns the bar here beside of me? What did I come home and tell you?
You were going to do it.
I came home. I called her on the way home and said, we're buying a bar. And she said, no, we're not. I said, we're buying a bar. She said, no, we're not. You can't own a bar.
And go to East Maiden. Right.
And be a Gideon and stand in the pulpit.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. But I didn't get my bar, but a good friend of mine bought the bar. We played football together, cool. And then it kind of went down the tubes after COVID because they shut him down.
Yeah.
And he had cleaned it up. It's a nice place. I really wanted it.
Yeah, he got shut down. But
I really wanted it bad. Really bad. Okay. Anything else on your list?
No, I just had no. Okay. I have a bunch of.
Anything on your list? You got to go to your appointment.
Do it.
One thing to think about with so many of these opt-outs in college football, so many of these kids opting out. Can you keep some of these kids from prevent them from opting out if you pay them for the bowl games?
I think where you've got to pay them is you got to pay them through an insurance policy based on injury.
Juju, that's a great question, and I will tell you that I'm just going to – like if I was, all right, in that position and I felt like I had an opportunity to be a first or real high second
even
pick.
Prevent kids from, say, transferring.
The portal should not be open until the last football game is played of the season, the national championship.
Yeah,
the next
after
day,
January 9th.
like 2 days after.
Yeah, the portal's open right now. Yeah.
No,
they changed it, so maybe they'll change it again.
Right. So that causes a lot of confusion and chaos. And like Coastal Carolina was ill prepared to play in their game because their quarterback was leaving.
And their center.
And their center's going to Carolina, I believe.
Yeah,
is that right?
Correct.
So, that was a big disservice. Again, we're talking about the individual player. What does it need to be about at this age in amateur sports?
Oh, don't say that word.
No. But you can't have it both ways.
I know, but we don't have that anymore.
So Juju's asking a question that is of a professional, from a professional, place.
We are semi-pro now.
But it's still supposed to be in an amateur style sport.
But you look at these bowl games and these directors of bowl games and these committees that make hundreds of thousands of dollars for hosting these events.
That's correct.
Why couldn't you take some of that money and pay the players?
Stop.
Besides giving them all the merchandise and everything else.
Why not the NIL money goes to insurance policies against injuries and some money to play in those games?
You're skewing the lines.
What do you mean skewing the lines?
You're skewing the lines by paying amateurs.
But you're already paying amateurs. They're just not paying them the right way. That's my problem. We're already paying them. I just don't like the way that we're paying them. Either don't pay them, or if you're going to pay them, you need to figure out a better way. And it was because the idiots at the NCAA said, they're going to protect us because we're amateurs and we've been here for 1,000 years and they're not going to let this happen. And all of a sudden, holy crap.
But who hires those people, those idiots of the NCAA?
Well, the NCAA is just like the High School Athletic Association. They are people that have no power.
That enforce it.
They're an organization that has no power.
But
they have no power. When there's an NCAA investigation, they can't make you testify.
But who wants it that?
The schools do.
Yeah,
because the presidents don't want to give up their power.
There you
Everything's about everybody's own little empire.
But that's the whole point I'm talking about. Until you have a system where you have one person
correct
that you go to for accountability instead of a committee, things get buried and hidden in a committee. Blame gets dispersed through the committee. It's like somebody told me one time, well, the committee chose to do that. I said, who? Well, the committee. Okay, who's on the committee that made the – well, it's the committee.
Well, give me who voted.
Well,
I want to know the
it
breakdown.
I hear that all the time.
This. When I served on town council, it's either vote for or vote against. It's on record. I never voted present or never, it was either yes or no, right? You have an accountability. You have someone to go to. Someone may come in and talk about this and say, what do you think? And I'll either say, you know what? That's a great idea, or I haven't really thought of it that way. Or I'll tell them I 100% disagree with everything you said, but I really appreciate you coming by today. Do you have any other questions for me?
And that's okay.
But I'm not rude. But at least
It's
people
okay
know
to
where you
agree to
stand.
disagree.
The problem is when you want chaos, you make sure there's no accountability to go to. That's the whole point. These are written in political rules too. There's not one person to go to when chaos ensues and stuff. It's a blame of this committee or this group or whatever, right? It's the same thing in
Or not even chaos. If it's some type of conflict or some kind of issue.
controversy.
Hit 'em good, Mark.
Controversy.
Mark said he's got to go because it's almost time for him to take other people's money. He's got golf at noon.
He would.
Okay, now, so one final point. Okay, just one final point.
And you get the bottom line here, right?
I get the bottom line. Here's the whole deal. And this goes back to what you said earlier, all the way back to high school. You have kids that are getting bad advice. Yeah. You got kids that are getting advice that, how do I put this gently? They're getting smoke blown up their rear end, and it's not real because whoever's advising is not doing it on the benefit of the kid. They're doing it on the person doing the advising, like agents and those type of things. If all these kids were as great as they think they are, okay, but you got a lot of kids that opt out that aren't going to make it. They just aren't going to make it. But somebody has told them, whether it's their parents, their friends, their grandma, somebody has told them they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I've always been told that,
and it's not an accurate and fair evaluation. It's somebody trying to make a buck off of them, whether it's an agent or guys, in their posse or a coach or whatever.
Can you not? Are there not enough kids out there that listen to that little voice inside of them and saying, "Wait,
they don't have that voice anymore."
Because
they do, but they're just not listening.
Because they're living in the world where there's no truth.
Right.
Everything is skewed.
Things
that are real and accountable, they're being told that's not true, that's not real.
You tell them what they want to hear.
What's real in your mind.
You tell them what they want to hear because they'll believe that.
That's the problem in decision making with an immature mind.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. What movie is that from? A Few Good Men.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Of course. But that's it.
That's Jack Nicholson.
Now,
if I'm not
the
mistaken.
world's always evolving and changing and this that. That's okay. But the one thing that you can never ever get away from is truth. Things are either right or they're wrong. You can only straddle it for a little while, but then it comes out either way.
There's no gray area. It's either black.
No, there's more
or
gray.
White.
There is today.
Yeah, more gray area than there
because
ever.
it's being allowed. That's right. But we're living. What do we always talk about? Metaverse, ocular glasses. Oh, you can go here and go there. Let me tell you something. You can go to Disney, and you can get on soaring. And when you're going in, doing that and everything, then all of a sudden you're going over the safari down with the elephants and tigers and all this, and you feel like you're in Africa. They'll swoop in a smell. Yeah. They say, "Ooh, it smells," or like when you're doing Avatar, some Pandora, whatever. They make it real, and it's all virtual and all this, like you're really there. Let me tell you something. If you go back and watch the movie Good Will Hunting, which is a little rough, but if you go back and watch it, there's a tremendous life lesson that Robin Williams gives, all right, as an actor, to Will. And he says, you can be the smartest person in the world. You can memorize all these books, have a photograph. I'm going to sum it up. Have a photographic memory and all this. He said, but you don't know anything about anything. He said, you've never been into a war where your best friend's head is in your lap and he lay there dying. You can read a book about, you can read about war and all this. but you don't know what it is until you've been there.
That's right.
You don't know. You can read all about Michelangelo and the Sistine Chapel and all this, but you don't know what the smells are like in there, and actually looking up at that ceiling and being in awe of what that person's done. And the point is, yeah, it costs money to go do these experiences and things, but it's about an investment into what you want to do. So you can either assimilate it or you can truly go experience. And right now, all we've got is assimilation. You see ocular glasses.
It's easier.
My kid gets in 10,000 cuts in 4 months because he's got these glasses.
It's easier.
It's not the same thing because when you got somebody pitching to you through ocular glasses, they're not going to hit you with the ball, okay? If I'm throwing BP to your kid, I'm not going to hit him in the head, okay, ever, all right? But I may throw one down his feet every now and then to make sure he's uncomfortable because you don't grow being comfortable, okay? That's how hitters become great. That's how Bryce Harper at a young age became great, is because his father always made him uncomfortable, always. My job in life is to make my 2 kids uncomfortable every day about something. All right? They know they're safe, but I'm going to make them uncomfortable. The kids that I've coached and been around for years, all right, I'm making them uncomfortable every day. I don't care how good a player they are, how athletic they are, they're going to be accountable for everything that they do that day. And I'm going to find something, and I'm going to get on them. And that's just the way it is. You can't grow if you're always – and that's not demeaning their character. And what I'm talking about is making sure – that there's always a question, am I really doing the best I can do? Am I being the best I can be? Not, what does he keep fussing? Don't fuss at him. I tell him.
I'm educating you.
That's the whole point of the process.
I'm helping you grow.
But when you pat him on the butt all the time, say, oh, it's okay, you'll get it next time. You can do that every now and then because they truly gave a great effort and screwed up. That's okay. It happens. That's how you learn.
But you do that after you explain how they screwed up.
And you see me on the sidelines before. In the game, I'm very calm normally, okay? And I have kids come over and say, okay, tell me what you saw. Going through the iPad with them. Okay, this is what I saw. Or I may say, look, number one, your technique's not good. Your stance isn't good. Look at this. When do we practice that? We are in game setting. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay? Are you so tired that your mind that you're becoming lazy? You'll get plenty of rest and sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, go to back to bad habits.
Exactly.
Because
it's easy.
I said that is the first indicator of failure is by your action of not doing the things you do because you're mentally drained, maybe through being physically drained. That's crazy. Crazy. And number 2 is, well, that's the way we've always done it. That's the other major indicator that failure's getting ready to happen. Big time. Sorry, I'm done.
David Lilly said the favorite thing he learned today was not getting laid.
Lord have mercy.
He texted me on that one. And finally, I'll bring a glass in here, and I'm going to mix it with sand and water. And I'm going to stir it up, and it becomes gray. But then what happens when you stop stirring?
Yeah, it goes back.
It separates,
settles.
and you've got 2 separate things.
It settles.
Because you can't leave it mixed. It can't stay mixed. You've got to make a decision. And most people don't want to make a decision.
That's why when you coached and when I coached and Juju coaching, that you had a great player, all right, but they weren't a good teammate. You either had to correct that or you had to get rid of it.
I'll take attitude over athleticism any day.
Because it's in the end.
I can coach you to be a better athlete,
100%.
but I can't coach you to be a better individual with a better attitude.
You got a choice.
Yeah, that's me. Have a happy New Year.
See y'all next year.
Are we Monday night?
Yeah.
We're Monday night. We'll be back Monday night. We'll see you then. The boys will be in here in the morning, far as I know, so they'll recap what's going on. See you in the new year in 2023. Have a good one.